Right now, the Utah Jazz are 20-5. That's their best start since 1996 and the 1997 season.
Talk about
and
it.
in that season, they made the NBA Finals.
And lost
They're
two.
the first seed in the West. They're a half a game above the Lakers in the Western Conference, and they have won 14 of their last 15 games. But as of recent, Donovan Mitchell has been on a tear. He scored 30 points against the Hornets. He scored 27 points and had 11 assists against the Pacers. And then as of recently, on primetime on ESPN, he had 36 points and 9 assists against the Celtics and hit a flurry of threes to close out the game against the Celtics. And the question is Donovan Mitchell becoming a superstar right before our eyes or right in front of our eyes? Is he ascending into superstardom?
You know,
are we sure we want to have superstar conversation?
I think like for me, this is just for me personally. I'm gonna just speak for my thought. I like to break up superstars into tier 1 and tier 2 categories. I think the league is very expanded this time, and I think you can't like guys like I would say Jimmy Butler or like guys like Dame. I would throw in like superstar 2 categories, like guys who can lead your team to the playoffs consistently, good or bad, and lead your team to a high, like a Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals, but can't like be the best player in the championship team. That's how I would look at it. I think Donovan Mitchell is definitely ascending into that tier 2 superstar role just for the simple fact of his rookie year. You know, he walked in, they were a playoff team. He was their best offensive player. Year 2, stayed consistent. He became an all-star. He was also their best offensive player. Now this year, I think his stats aren't like, they're like kind of like similar to Paul George's in a sense, but I think his impact on the court, his ability to be that, he's turned into a really good ball handler and playmaker for that team. Defensively, he's still getting better. He kind of plays like D Wade, like he's like our modern day D Wade in a sense. But I think he definitely, with him ascending into the MVP conversation, I think he's definitely ascending into that superstar role. But to be a superstar, you got to have like for example, Paul George when he had that series against LeBron in Miami, and then after the next year he took that superstar leap. I think Donovan Mitchell, for us to give him that superstar title, has to make that Western Conference Finals and also be a big contributor to that. I think last year against the Nuggets, when we saw those 2 50-point games, we kind of saw the little creep up. You know, he was ascending into that guy. I think this year he has to do it in a deeper playoff run.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say he's a superstar just yet, but at 24 years old, only 4 seasons in the league, being a pretty undersized 2-guard, he's on even better trajectory than you ever could have imagined with him coming into the league. And I was pretty high on Donovan Mitchell out of Louisville, but I never could have imagined him being at this point in his career at this high of a level. And like I said, at 24, I don't think it's a stretch at all to say he will become a superstar. And I'm pretty strict with my definition of a superstar. Like, I think it's like 7 to 10 guys maybe. And I think he can get to that tier. The numbers aren't there just yet for what you would normally consider a superstar, but I think the game is kind of changing a little bit, especially with the way the Jazz play basketball. It's not really meant for somebody to boost their numbers, and it's obviously paying off for them. They're playing the best basketball in the league. Again, I don't think he's there yet, but I think he's well on the way, and I would say I'm more confident in him becoming a superstar than not becoming a superstar, because that would mean he essentially flatlines where he is. I think he's one step away.
Donovan Mitchell is an enigma to me because they listed him as 6 foot. But I was watching the ESPN broadcast.
He's not 6 feet.
And he looked about 2 inches shorter than Jaylen Brown. He didn't look like he was 6 foot. Then I've seen pictures of him look like he's towering over Chris Paul. And Chris Paul is 6 foot.
I think he's a strong 6'3".
And then I see pictures of Trae Young having a little bit of a height advantage over Donovan Mitchell. So I don't know what it is. Is he wearing something to boost his height at some games? I'm not sure if he is. It's extremely uncomfortable, I can imagine. He is an enigma to me because I really don't know what his height is. I don't think the listed height at 6 foot is just real height. I think he's taller than that. And even if he is, I mean, in the games, he looks taller than that.
He plays like he's 6'8".
I don't know about that. I think he plays like he's about 6'5".
He plays like D Wade.
Yeah, maybe I stretch it, but he plays much bigger than he is.
Because he has long arms.
The reason why I'm higher on Donovan Mitchell than I am on other volume scorers, you can list the guys like Zach LaVine and Bradley Beal. Like, people think Bradley Beal's a superstar right now, and I've already addressed it multiple times. I don't think Brad is, and the reason why I have Donovan Mitchell and I'm higher on Donovan than I am on Devin Booker or a Zach LaVine or a Brad Beal is because Donovan Mitchell has already proved himself in the playoffs. He came in the league as a rookie and led the Jazz to the playoffs and beat an OKC team that had Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. Like, he's accomplished that. He's put a team on his back, and he's took them further. This season, he's averaging 24 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting 42% from 3, and that's the highest of his career. He's averaging the same amount of points this year as he did last year, but last year he played like one more minute. It's not much, but it's still, he's got more playing time, and now the offense has much more continuity. There is more passing within it, and as of recent, when Mike Conley has been out, Donovan Mitchell's assist numbers have been getting better. When you compare Donovan Mitchell to LaVine, Beal, and Booker, I think Donovan is the better passer. He is the better defender and scorer.
I think he's the best.
I think he is the best player.
Yeah.
But then when you look at right now, his playoff averages, his first season as a rookie, he averaged 27. His playoff average for his career is 27 points per game. As a rookie, he averaged 24.4 against OKC and against Houston the very next round. He averaged 24 points per game for the playoffs. Then his second season, he had a down series against Houston. He only averaged 21.4 points per game. He shot really bad. But then this past season against Denver, he took that and made an astronomical jump to 36.3 points per game against Denver, 2 50-point games. He was phenomenal. And to me, LaVine has not done that in the playoffs. Devin Booker's not done that in the playoffs. Bradley Beal has not done that in the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell has proved himself at this young age. And that's why now that you see the Utah Jazz ascending, they're the number 1 seed. Donovan Mitchell, we can say, is the best scorer on that team, even though I think it's a collection. I think when you think about the Utah Jazz, you think Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. Then you think Robert. I think he has proven himself. And right now, this year, I have him as an all-star starter. Like, because the team has been winning, because he's been playing great, I think he deserves to be a starter in the all-star game.
I think he'll definitely be an all-star at least. But when you look at his numbers, I think the 24 points per game number is very interesting because I wasn't here for the Bradley Beal discussion, but I think I said this to you guys on the side. If Bradley Beal went to a team like the Miami Heat, a contender, I would see him somewhere in the 24 to 26 points per game range.
I said 22, 24.
I would have him around like 24, 25 points a game. Devin Booker is a guy we consider in that same category. He's been like a 27 point per game scorer the last 2 years. Now he's on a contender with Chris Paul. He's down to 23.8. Bradley Beal, in his days with John Wall, their best days as a team, he was at 22.6, 25.6. Donovan Mitchell right now is at 24 points per game. We haven't really seen Zach LaVine on that winner, no offense. But, I think that is a very solid number on a winning team because you need to have good teammates around you, and it's not really beneficial. It's very rare to find guys that could put up extreme volume numbers and still carry a team. And I think that putting up 24 isn't exactly an indictment on what you are as a player, but I'd much rather average 24 on a winning team than average 27, 28 and not be a playoff team. So I don't think that 24 number is an indictment on what Donovan Mitchell is right now.
I just think because based off his team and how, Mike Conley's gotten better, Bogdan Bogdanovic, he's back. Joe Ingles is back. He's putting up efficient numbers. Ingles.
Call him English.
I know.
Jordan Clarkson's going to be the
Jordan
sixth man
Clarkson,
of the year.
his team has stepped up offensively, so he doesn't really need to score that much, but the fact that he's scoring 24 points a game on a stacked team like that shows the credit and how good he really is.
But the thing about it is I think when Donovan Mitchell, he plays in prime time, he performs. You saw it against Boston, and after in the broadcast, Shaq wanted to take credit for it, but before Shaq said the statement, Donovan Mitchell was averaging the same amount of points.
He was hoping regardless.
After when Shaq made the statement about Donovan Mitchell, he's been balling, and because he's proven himself already by leading a team to the playoffs and having good playoff performances, I think he's ascending into that superstardom. I was on ESPN.com and I was searching up Donovan Mitchell stats. I went on the career projections, and the career projections right now, this is a list. First is Ben Gordon. That's like the most similar he is to.
He does
Ben
play a little
Gordon.
bit like Ben Gordon.
Second was Ray Allen. Third was Levine. Fourth was Kyrie. Fifth was Brandon Knight. Sixth was Tony Parker. 7 was Kobe. 8 was Gilbert Arenas, and then Dame was
And what
there.
is this?
That is an incredibly volatile list.
Tony Parker?
It's a career projections
Those are
list.
the 10 guys.
How do we
Yes.
go from Ray
They're,
Allen?
it's 9 guys. It's not 10 because
Oh.
I just listed it because there was another guy who's like an old timer that I don't even know.
What's his name?
I don't know. I forgot.
Oh.
So I didn't mention him.
Tony Parker, though?
We go to Ray Allen to Brandon Knight to,
Kobe.
Kyrie
We went to Kobe. Yeah, like, what?
No, but
They put Brandon Knight?
Yeah, Brandon. Knight.
I would say right now
He's already
he's
better than
not at
Brandon
that
Knight.
superstar level, but at 24 years old, I would feel very confident buying stock in
Kobe
him
Bryant.
becoming a superstar player.
Brandon Knight.
There's no denying that the Utah Jazz have been really great this season. And now I think this was a great episode. We're going to end it off on that segment.
It's a long episode.
Yes, we talked about a lot of things. We addressed our viral video, and we answered back to Bradley Beal's life and her comments on us. This episode has been 2 hours and 23 minutes long, 12 topics in total. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of topics. We're probably going to be going live more because I finally learned how to use this setup and the setup that I have. So because of that, we'll be going live more. But we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this podcast, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it helps us grow. And also, give us a review on Apple Podcasts. We only have 12 reviews right now, and I think we should have more. So, guys, run that number up. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.